A recent New York Times podcast episode featured black voters expressing their hesitation to re-elect Joe Biden. Watch.
You know, what have they done for me? You know, the Republican Party can give me these tax cuts and give me this and give me that. It boils down to like those type of issues.
I still have tons of student loan debt, so he's not getting my vote.
I honestly feel that the Democratic Party has forgot about the black male.
But it's not just that podcast. A recent poll finds Biden with record high disapproval among black and Hispanic voters in key battleground states. Here to react, Republican voter David Sypher and independent voter Kim Brown. Thank y'all so much for joining the program today. So I said did this podcast around the Thanksgiving table, a black family, black community members, and the one thing they're talking about is the black male voters. So I gotta ask you, brother, what do you think is driving black males to consider Donald Trump over the traditional Democratic Party?
Yes, first of all, I thank you for inviting me on the show. The recent poll suggests that a small but rising number of black Democratic voters are turned off by Joe Biden's messaging. This messaging is not resonating with him like they used to. Mm-hmm. Also, there is a perception that they are being left behind. There is a perception that their concerns are no longer addressed, and there are growing issues. Like you look at the migrant crisis in Chicago, where they diverted funds and ruined state coffers to accommodate the migrants, and then tried to put them in lower income communities where resources are already stretched. So when you take the not resonating message with the post-COVID crime, with the migrant crisis, those things lead to ongoing frustrations.
Yeah. Kim, it's a little bit different for black women. They're not giving the Republican Party quite a shot, but they're willing to stay at home. And also, I learned in the podcast, a lot of black women disappointed with Kamala Harris. They wanted more. What are you seeing?
Well, I think the reason is I don't believe that a lot of people actually take Kamala Harris serious. I think when people view her on national television, she's not really hitting the marks that we expected her to hit. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say that, African Americans will not support Joe Biden, but what I will say is that it will be a slippery slope depending on who his running mate is. Now, due to the fact that we know that during election time, people say a lot of things, you have a lot of stump speeches, but at the end of the day, once they get elected, they sort of forget. And that's what's frustrating, not just to the black Americans, but also to people in general. We're just no longer believing in this political system called, our federal government and how things are getting done.
Kim, you make such a great point. And David, part of the problem that you heard during the podcast is they said, listen, we only see them during election time. They made a lot of promises to us, and they're just not keeping it.
Yes, correct. That goes to the perception of feeling forgotten about, feeling left behind, and this is something that has been talked about on the ground for many years. And then you couple that, like I said, with the issues that's not getting done. There is rising crime spikes. There is rising crime spikes post-COVID. Yep. There is the migrant crisis. There is rising inflation under Joe Biden. So you have all of these things that's working against lower income communities. So you couple that with the fact that, like you said, the attention goes away after election time. It's going to breed frustration over election cycles, and they will either sit this one out or make the decision to vote Republican.
It's such a good point. Kim, a lot of folks in the podcast talked about the elephant in the room, which is former President Barack Obama. And they said that he was good for the culture, but didn't deliver a lot on the issues for black America as well. And now that he's gone, they don't have that shield of Barack Obama in the Democratic Party. So did they use Barack Obama as a crutch?
Well, let me say this. You used the term Barack Obama is gone. I don't think he's gone. I think he's somewhere in the secret pipeline still making those important decisions or trying to make sure Biden does what he needs to do. So let's talk about crime for a second. We know that President Barack Obama comes from the south side of Chicago. Look at the era of Chicago and how much crime has grown. Now, when Barack Obama was in office and even being out of office, there should have been some type of nurturing setting to where he would actually service people in Chicago. That didn't happen. You look at the crime across the United States of America, it is growing, growing, and growing. And rather than people deal with crime, they're constantly putting a Band-Aid on crime, talking about programs, programs, and programs. But let's be clear. I am not against programs, but what I am against is throwing good money after bad money.
That's
and people come up with programs that are not effective. And that is what's frustrating when you got the average citizen who can no longer walk down the street because as soon as they do, something tragedy may happen. And we shouldn't have to live like this. This is supposed to be the greatest country in the nation. And we are failing our American people every single day. And that is the frustration that Americans are feeling.
You're so right. You're so right. Look, David and Kim, I've been warning folks. I've been telling our audience, watch out for black voters. They're screaming right now. They're yours if you want to have them. I'm so glad this podcast came out and y'all joined us this morning for the program. Thanks so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.